I'm Chris, and I'm a believer that struggled with low self-esteem and a little bit of depression, but not as much anymore. And I'm here just to share what God's done in my life. I'm going to start off with what happened to me, my parents and everything. Um, when I was 22 months old, I was burned in a fire in Tampa, Florida. Um, my mom was watching me through the window, and I was outside on this little swing. And she turned around for a few minutes, and I got down and got into a storage room where there was a gasoline can and hot water heater and everything else. And being curious, I got into the gasoline and poured it on myself. And the hot water heater behind me, the pilot light flicked on and caused the gasoline to explode. And my mom rushed out, pulled me out, and first she couldn't get me out because all she kept getting was my skin. She just kept trying, and finally she pulled me out, rolled me up in a blanket, and then the neighbors saw what happened and called 911. And the ambulance came and the fire truck and all that stuff came, and they rushed me to the hospital. And I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I can't remember it, but my mom and everyone tells me. But they put me on a helicopter to get there fast enough because where we lived was too far away. And when I got there, they told my parents that I had a 1% chance to survive the night, and that they couldn't do anything else. So my mom, my dad, and my family members and friends sat in the waiting room, and they all prayed together. And obviously I survived through the night. And my mom told me that she couldn't recognize who I was because I was so swelled up. And she said that the only way she could tell it was me was because of the look I had in my eyes. And they had to cut open certain parts of my skin to keep me from exploding because I had so much fluid inside. And they put me on life support, and they told my parents that if I were to survive, I would be a vegetable for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't be able to do anything at all, and I'd just sit there. And they told my parents, once again, that I wouldn't survive the night. So I remember my dad telling me that the doctor went up to him and asked him if he wanted to pull the plug. But my dad said, no, if he's going to go, God's going to take him, not me. So I survived again. And after 8 months of being in a coma and all that stuff, I finally woke up, and I had to have skin grafts this whole time, where they took skin from where I wasn't burned, and they put it on where I was lost skin to grow new skin. And it was basically just started up then. They didn't know exactly if it would work right, but since they had like other subjects or people or whatever that survived, they figured it would be alright. And I finally got to go home after 9 months, 10 months I think. And I had to learn how to walk and do everything all over again. And my mom would take stuff and give it to me to play with. She wouldn't let me do it myself because she didn't think she knew I probably could, but she wasn't sure. So my dad told her, don't do that because he won't learn how to do stuff on his own. So eventually I learned how to do everything on my own. And a few months later, I developed something in my knee. And again, the doctor said I would die from that. So, they said the only chance of me surviving was an experimental drug that they could give me. And my mom and dad signed papers and everything. And they gave it to me, and obviously I was fine. And during this time I was having physical therapy and other surgeries. And while I was learning how to walk again, I had developed osteoporosis in my leg, and the nurses didn't know. And while they would teach me how to walk, my leg snapped. So I had to have surgery on that, obviously, and eventually it healed, and I had to do everything again. I kept having surgeries, skin grafts, bone surgeries, plastic surgery, and my parents decided it was best for us to go to the Shriners Burns in Boston because they were the ones that knew what was wrong with my leg when I had something wrong with it. And they knew all kinds of stuff that the one in Florida didn't know. So I would be sent out there in a jet, and they did surgeries on me, and since it was such a hassle to keep going back and forth, my family decided to move to Massachusetts. And we lived in Brockton. And then during this time I had more surgeries, and I went to school, which was, it was alright, but I just remember the first day in kindergarten, getting out of the bus, and all the kids screamed and called me a monster and everything. So that was my first experience of what my life would be like for the rest of my life. So I just shrugged it off and didn't care, and just played with kids anyways. Even if they didn't like me, I played with them anyways. I went through school, and then when I got to first grade, the teacher treated me like as if I didn't know anything. And when it was like recess or whatever, she would set me aside from everyone else and tell the kids not to come and play with me, and have a toy set aside for me, so I'd have to be by myself. And then she had a meeting with my parents, and she had a test that I had taken, and she put an F on it purposely to be rude, I guess. But my dad saw that what she was doing to me, so he ordered books from different educational places, and he taught me at home how to do everything from math, spelling, so on and so on. And I passed through first grade and so on. Got to 5th grade, and I moved to East Bridgewater. And I was kind of scared because it was a new experience, and I didn't want to have to face new people. But I had to anyways, and it was better than I thought it would be because Shriners Hospital sent someone in who knew me and explained to the kids what happened and everything, so they weren't shocked or anything. So when I went in, everybody was nice and welcoming and talked to me and everything. So I thought, well, this is going to be good then. As the years went by, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, the kids started treating me badly, calling me names. They called me like Krusty Chris and the Burn Kid and all this kind of stuff. And of course I was in my teenage years, where like all teenage boys